So the most popular video on my channel is Animate Like a Pro, Elementor and GSAP Tutorial 2024 Part 1. So whenever people see Part 1, they do want Part 2, and I do understand why. But the thing is, I have explained lots of and the most basic stuff in here. So we are now going to learn the Animate Like a Pro 2, but just keep in mind you need to know this Part 1 and the most common stuff that we use. 90% of the stuff that we use are around here, and 10% of the stuff that we are going to need, then this is usually for like much higher control and more flexibility. Basically, you could learn this toggle actions, especially learning like onComplete, onUpdate and all that stuff, like timeline, resume and all this stuff. It basically gives you more control on what we have learned around here. So in the past, I actually created like a specific page which showed every single stuff, but in this one I just cannot show it just because of the nature of the stuff that we are going to learn today. So one of it is toggle actions. You could see nothing's happening because again it's the nature of that stuff. Then we have onEnter, onLeave and onEnterBack, onLeaveBack. Then we have onComplete and all this stuff. Then we have timeline, which is when I click on it, it plays. When I click again, it reverses, stuff like that. Then we have TimeScale, basically it speeds up or slows down your timeline. We have CustomEase, which is also which I'll explain later. Then we have ToggleClass, and then we have Draggable and matchMedia, which is for responsiveness. I'm not going to go in particular order from this one. This is just all the stuff that we are going to learn today. Please make sure to watch the first one before watching this one, because that's like the most basic stuff. So let's first quickly start by creating a timeline, which I've already shown how to do it, but you could watch this and understand how it was done to like refresh your memory in case you weren't practicing. So I'm just using a black color around here. Let me make it a bit gray. Then I'm using a container, and again this is all like your design choices. In this container I'm going to add a heading. I'm going to make this h2, why not, make this white color. Let's call it as DMmotionarts, like this. Make it in center, give it some sizing, and give it something like intertight because I like that font. There we go. So we got all this stuff pretty quickly. Now I'm going to animate this with GSAP. Again, this is just to refresh your memory, but I'm just doing it faster, but then we will learn all this stuff. In my HTML, I'm just going to go into like GSAP CDN. So in my HTML widget, we just have to search GSAP CDN, copy this, copy the first one, which is the default GSAP CDN. We also need to copy the scroll trigger in case we want to use that. Allows the animation to be based on our scroll, and so that it does not like run instantly and only runs when it is on the page. First thing first, I want to show you the CustomEase, which by the way you do need to use this stuff. So let's click on it and add this script. These are all GSAP, so this first one is GSAP and everything else is like extra plugins that GSAP requires to do like specific stuff. So I've added all these three stuff. So these are like prerequisite. How do I type prerequisite? Okay, so prerequisite. Again, you do not need to have like two different containers basically, but for this video purposes, so that it is cleaner, I'm going to do it that way. So I'm going to use this HTML tag. So I'm going to use this code HTML tag to do my code, and these are all the stuff, but just to make it cleaner so that you guys can understand it better. Let's do the basic stuff. So let's give our DMmotionarts some like DM title, why not? If you remember what we need to do first, we need to go into style so that we can add custom CSS. Even if you do not have Pro, this is a way to add custom CSS by using style tag. Let's do exclamation, transition none, exclamation mark, important. Then we can start doing our script where we can add our GSAP basically. Let's do GSAP to, or let's do from. Actually no, let's create a timeline because that's what we need. So constant, I've already explained how to do this in the previous video. Constant DM timeline equal to GSAP dot timeline open bracket semicolon DM timeline, because now we want to do it in this timeline, right? We could do from I want to do for the DM title, do comma, enter. Let's do this. Here I'll do Y. I want it to be, I guess, 20 VH. Okay, yeah, let's do 20 VH. Why not? So it will come from bottom to up. The duration would be 0.3 seconds. And then it would, yeah, I think that's more than enough for now, just to see how it looks. Let's do preview. You could see the animation is working, but again, it is working even if I, let's say, go in here. If I scroll down, you could see it has already finished the animation. So we need to do the scroll trigger stuff too. But before doing that, or let's do the scroll trigger right now. When we want to do scroll trigger for the whole timeline, we can just go into this timeline, open curly brackets and do enter, enter, enter. And here we could do the same stuff that we learned in the past video, which is adding a scroll trigger like this. The trigger should be, when should this timeline start? Basically, when should this whole timeline start? When this is in viewport. So I can use this as my trigger, DM title. I could say start should be 50% because I want it to be when the center of this element reaches the center of my screen. So 50% first one is center of this element. The second one is reaches the center of the screen. Let's do comma and let's make sure we have markers to be true so that we can see what we are doing. Let's now see if it even works. Let's do preview. Are there markers? Please be markers. There we go. We have scroller start. If I scroll down, there is the start and end around here. If I touch this, it basically makes it go above like this. See, if you find yourself to have some issues where your start and end location are not at the right area, it usually happens because this code runs and then some animation happens, or Elementor adds its own thing, or some kind of layout shift happens basically. So this turns somewhere else or something just happens basically. So for that, what we could do is just wrap all of this into an Windows event load. So if you search for Windows load, we can go into this Mozilla website. Basically what we are saying is that only run this code when whole page has been loaded. So if your page was still loading, then it might not work. So let's do this. Let's copy this much code from here, paste it. We don't want this much, the console. We need to just copy this and paste it in here. So now this whole code would only run when our whole page has been loaded. If you have slow loading speed, then again remember it would not load. What you could use is DOM content loaded, but in case you're still struggling to have, if you're still having some issues, then it might not be good. Another way is to use like DOM content loaded. So if you search for DOM content loaded, you could even use this one, which is the same stuff. So document that.event listener, you would add all your code in here. The difference between this and Windows onload is the DOM content loaded only waits for the HTML to load. So all this text and all to load, it doesn't wait for all the other stuff to load. It waits for text and all this HTML, which if you inspect, all the stuff that is stored in this element, this whole stuff to load, and then it does the stuff around here. But when you add Windows event listener, it waits for everything until this like stops spinning. So if you have slow loading speed, it might cause some issues. So just play around with DOM content loaded, play around with onload, or just not even add it directly like this. Don't even add this and see which works for you. Usually if you have, let's say, images and all, then you want it to wait, right? You want it to wait for the images to load. Then for that, it's good to use Windows onload event. Another issue is happening because I'm using from like this. My start is being around here instead of being at this location. See, if I'm touching here, which is why what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this container, go into here, and I'll call it as DM title wrapper. So I just named it DM title wrapper. I'll copy this and add it into my trigger location like this. So DM title wrapper. So when the DM title wrapper's 50% has reaches the center, it will run this this text animation. Let's scroll down. You could see now it is not around here, it is based on this container. If I click on it, it just does. So now if I even go in here and give it, let's say, overflow hidden, so that anything outside of this, so if I click on here and then maybe go, let's say, transform, offset, and do something, you could see that when it goes outside the container, it basically just hides. So let's do preview and see how this looks. And you could see it feels like it revealed rather than being around here. It was around here, but because we were using overflow hidden, it looked like it just popped up from here. So what we are going to learn now is CustomEase. So just for us to see, I'm going to remove the overflow hidden completely, just so that we can see how this works. So I'm going to give it duration of 1 second, so that it takes 1 second of timing. If I search for GSAP and go to the docs page, which is documentation, and then from here we go to ECs. I've already shown what these ECs are, which are like predefined ones. So these are all predefined ones, and just watch this ball. Okay, so if I click power 3, this is how the animation goes. If I do in out, it will stay here, can speed up and then slow down. If I only do in, it is staying here, it is speeding up and then going fast. So all are this predefined stuff, which I've already explained in the previous video. But what I want to use is CustomEase. Now remember, to use CustomEase, we need to use the third script tag which we added. If you don't add this third script tag, which I showed how to add it, it will not work. So just click on this CustomEase. So let me first click on none, so that it is like linear. So there's no, if you look at this ball, you could see it is not increasing in speed, it is not slowing down, it is going in constant speed towards up like this. If I now click CustomEase, I can now control it, and if I click here, I can even see. So I'll click on line to add a point. So if I click Alt like this, I can add a point like this right now. Okay, because my mouse is big, it is kind of hard to click perfectly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to like move this like this around here. So if I now do preview, you could see it's going straight and then going up a bit and then going down. So you could see it is overshooting a bit. So I'm using this graph to do like an overshoot and come back like this. I can now copy this ease, or even let's copy like this full part ease. Go in here, add comma, ease. Remember, no comma at the end, only for this stuff. No comma at the end, no comma at the end, like this. If I do preview, if I go down, you could see it came a bit up and went down. How will it look in overflow hidden? Let's see. So basically, if you have used any video editing software, you would know how this works. You could just, it basically allows you to control how the animation should go and when it should speed up, when it should slow down, and all that stuff. If I click now, you could see it went a bit up and went down. You can 100% do like weird stuff too. So again, this is like progress, right? So you cannot just make it be like this. You cannot just go like this. You could see it turns red. You cannot have progress. Progress is basically time. So if you go there, you cannot go back in time. If I do preview, you could see how this goes. Looks weird, right? It goes speed. It just goes straight up to this new value. So this is value. So how much it should go. And this is how the animation, you could even make it look to your own liking. So let's go in here. I'm going to keep this easing because I like how it looks. Remember, we are using timeline. What does timeline means? We can just have one stuff move after another. So if I type DM timeline, again I want it to do 2. So remember, from 2. So from basically is saying that go from this location to whatever is set around here by a Elementor or a CSS. So Elementor adds the CSS. So we are saying that go from this location to whatever it is set around here. But now we want to do 2. So after you have done all this stuff, I want to do is go to DM title, open brackets like this. I want to do letter spacing. Remember, we cannot use dash in JavaScript, and in the script tag we are doing JavaScript, so we cannot use dash. It basically means minus. So letter minus spacing, we could do letter spacing with S capital. Go to 10 pixels in the letter spacing. go for duration of 0.3 seconds like this. Let's do 0.5 seconds because I want it to be slow. Whenever you're trying to make something, it's good to use like higher duration so that you could see everything in slow motion and then make it faster. So using like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, it's better to do it. I'm using 0.5 because I don't want this video to be bigger. And I'm also going to use a CustomEase method for this one. It just came to my mind. I think it would be good to show you guys. So I'm going to select none so that I can reset everything, and then let me select this stuff and then make it go at the bottom like this. So what we are saying is that no value should change, so it's basically going to stay same. At the center of this one, I'm just going to go and make it go up. So what we are doing is we are making the value. So if I click on it, it's going up and then it's going back to this one. So this is time, right? So this is time and this is value. So when our time is progressing, it is making the value go, so it is going 0 to 1 and 1 to 0 or something. You could even see the value around here. So I can use this ease around here like this to create some cool effect. Let's copy this. Let's go in here. I'm also going to make this like 1 second and make sure no comma at the end. Let's see what happens. You could see it. I didn't have to create another one, so I didn't have to go in here and then make another timeline and make it go 0 again, which is 100% okay to do, okay? But this just made me like able to do it easily like this without having to worry much basically. Now no matter how much value I change in here, it's automatically going to do is make it go back to that location. If you are using 2 timeline, then you will have to go in here, go back here, go here, go here, back here like this, based on what type of design you're using. Next I want to teach is TimeScale. Now I am teaching like very random direction because I want to teach the simple stuff first so that we can go into much more complicated later. But TimeScale basically allows me to speed up my timeline without having to change all these values. So right now it takes 1 second to go from bottom to up, and it takes 1 second to do all the second animation. So I know I want to get the time scale for this one, so I'll do DM timeline because I want to change the speed of this. I'll type DM time S capital scale and let's do 2. So what this basically means is that, so if you do 1 in here, it's not going to do any changes because this is 1 is basically what's being used currently. So if you just change this to 2, whatever the timeline speed is, it will be double right now. So if I do preview, you could see how fast it was. How about we make it 5? Just make it like very high value so that we can see it clearly. Let's scroll down, and you could see how quick that was. So just keep in mind that the time scale you could just change to whatever you want. And again, you could even, I use this for like one of my template. Basically, you know, I have a template in here, and I've also have a video on how to create all of these 12 templates from scratch. And if you want, you could buy it from here. But one of it, not one of it, but few of them I have used TimeScale. Basically what this does is that I want the reverse animation to be fast. So right now you could see it just does this stuff, but when I click, it should be faster kind of stuff. So I don't remember which one I used currently, but I know one of it I have made it like faster. I don't remember which one I did, to be honest. But again, this basically allows me to set like a reverse timeline. So when it gets closed, I can make it go faster when it is closing. These are all created by GSAP, by the way. So, and all of it has been taught already. So that's where you could use TimeScale. And even if your client is just being like, hey, could you like make it faster? Can you do it stuff? So instead of going and tweaking each value, you could just use TimeScale, like make it 1.2, 1.3 and be like, hey, is it good? And that just makes it easy, right, to show client quickly so that you could go back and forth also quickly. Then we have ToggleClass. Now this ToggleClass is a bit advanced, or not advanced, it's easy to implement, but where you need to use would be like a bit advanced features which you will try. So for example, let's do is, if I go to my scroll trigger, I could go to comma and say toggle C capital class, and in quotation I'll type as active. Let's type DM active so that we know DM active, and let's do this. So to explain this, I need to first find that stuff. Okay, so Let me just select this one. Let me go to this stuff. Let me find it here. So this is my element. So this is my container. I don't know if you guys can see it, but this div this div is nothing but a container. The stuff that you add via your Elementor, the container, it's just this. It's just div, nothing else. And all usually you would not have like this big of a line, because we are using Elementor. That's why there are like 5 or 6, 7, 8 CSS classes in one single stuff. Usually when you code yourself, you just add like 1 or 2 classes, so it doesn't even look like this that much complicated. I hate when it refreshes automatically. Why are you refreshing automatically? Let me now select it again. I have to now find it again. So here it is. Here you can see DM active, and you could see when it is, when I'm like not around here, I can go back. This start and start should touch. You could see DM active has been added. When I go outside, DM active has been removed. So if you want, you could even do some styling that you want in here. So you could even do, let's say, DM active should have opacity of 0.5 like this. So right now you could see that we add this CSS class to this container. We are not adding to like this text, okay? Remember, it adds to the trigger point, which is DM title wrapper. So if I go down, you could see it is now 0.5 duration. Why? It has the CSS class DM active. So you could see this is what basically we do. Again, there are lots of uses for it. I've not used that much often, but again, if you know anything about adding classes and removing it, you just know in general that it is much more powerful when you could add extra classes and have like much more settings around here. So you do not always have to rely on scroll trigger and GSAP, even if there are like conflicts. So sometimes GSAP might be conflicting with codes around here, and that time you could even use the toggle class. Okay, then we have Draggable, which I've already shown how to do it. For this one too, we need to use one code. So again, go to the CDN. If you go to the Draggable, where is it? Draggable. There, Draggable. Select the middle one. Make sure to go into your code and add it like this. You only need to add it once in your whole page, okay? Or you could even do it like go into custom code option and then add it to your whole website. Or you use like the free plugin WP code. If you have Elementor Pro, you could just use the custom code. I don't think it's needed to add to your whole website. You should only add it to where it is used, so that your GSAP is only used if it's actually needed on that page. I don't really remember how to do it, so I'm just going to go into docs so that we know. I can see I've already created a video on this. Okay, so that's all we need to create. The inertia true will not work. Inertia true is only for like, there's a pro version of this stuff. Basically, what if you had like pro version, you could just use, you can see if I like push it, it still moves a bit. You can see it's still moving a bit, and that's basically what's for. That's only available if you add inertia true, but it is only available for GSAP Pro. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So if you go to this GSAP Draggable page, just click on this JS, and then here you could see what they have used. So for this one, they have used type X so that it can only move on right and left. This one you could see they have type rotation, so you could only rotate. And this one you could see has a bounce of container, so it cannot go outside. So this one also has bounce, this one also has bounce. Okay, so there's nothing difference between this and this, except this one can only move in X direction. Let's copy this one to just show you guys how to add it to our own website. So I'll click on this one. This container, I'm just going to make it a bit bigger and make it white in color, or sorry, red in color. We have called it DM title wrapper, right? Let's go in our script tag. Let's copy the Draggable. So Draggable create. I know this one is supposed to be DM title because that's what we want to move. So this is what we want to move. The bounce should be DM title wrapper. Again, if you do not add this bounce, so also remove inertia. We do not have that pro version, so remove that. If you do not add bounce, like this bounce, you can move it anywhere on the screen. But if you add bounce, it is going to be limited to this container. Let's see if it works with like this scroll trigger and stuff. I don't know if it will conflict or not, so let's see. Okay, so you might think like, why is it not able to move? If I go into my this stuff, and if I try to give it a color, so this whole heading, I go to a background color and give it a heading, you would see that it's actually bigger than you thought. It's not just this much. So we can go in here and make it just this much. So this pink border, you could see this pink border is the actual size. And here you could see, now we can just move it however we want. It's good to create some interact functionality when you do this. So it's pretty cool, right? Again, if you remove this bounds, it will just basically allow you to move it anywhere. So you could see I'm able to move it anywhere. I've given it overflow hidden, so it's kind of annoying. You cannot see it, but yeah, that's very easy to use Draggable. And again, if you want to do like specific one, you just have to type like this X, type rotation, and you can even go down and see all the stuff that we can do. You could even like go into you could check like all the documentation. You could do X, Y, what type it is, and all that stuff. Then I want to show matchMedia. MatchMedia is just a way to have one GSAP animation for mobile and one GSAP animation for tablet, one GSAP animation for desktop. Let's say I'm in my full menu container. If I click on this one, all of this come from top. Do you think it would make sense in mobile? Is the mobile even that big that I can have it come from like all 5 of them come from top and then everything would be readable? No, right? So I'm going to need to have different animation for mobile. And in the mobile version, if I go and inspect this, let me make it smaller. I'm going to refresh the page. If I click here, you could see they are not coming from right or top side. They are coming from the right side because they are in mobile. And the way I've done it is simply using matchMedia so that I can have like 2 different animations. So how can we do matchMedia? So how we can do that, okay? So in here, I'm going to create a variable which would be responsible for responsiveness. So I can call it DM responsiveness equal to gsap.matchMedia bracket. Literally it's the same stuff that I've typed with M capital. Next thing, I'm just going to go and copy from here because it's faster to do that way. And let's copy this around here. So what we need to change is change the mm to our stuff. So DM responsive dot add minimum width. It is saying 800 pixel. We do not want that. I'm also going to close this. So if I close this bracket like this, it is now closed. So anything inside of this would only be applied to this one. So how does this minimum and maximum width works? When you add this, it is saying that any code inside should only work if the screen has at least minimum width of 800 pixels. So anything above 801, 802, 803, 1000, 2000 would run this code. Okay. If I do max, so if I do max in here like this, then anything that has 800 pixels and above would not run this code. It will only run anything that has maximum of this one or anything below this value basically. So if my device has 799 pixels in width, it is going to run this. If I have 100 pixels in width, it's going to run this. So what should I use in here? Very easy. Hover on this one. My mouse is big, but it will basically say mobile portrait up to 767 pixels because that's what Elementor uses. If you click on tablet, it will say 1024 pixels, and here it's like everything, right? So what I could do in here is I could say that 767. So what we can say is that anything that is below 767 pixels should run this code. Okay. And here we also need to make sure that we do this stuff. So DM responsive dot add rotation. Let's copy this. It's very hard to like type everything perfectly, so I just like to copy. Here I could do minimum width like this and do 768 like this. So what this basically means is that anything except desktop, anything except mobile will use this one, and anything that is mobile or below 767 pixel will use this one. Okay. Again, if you go in here, let's say if you copied this stuff and typed 1024, like 1024, guess what? This is now using for tablet. This is now using for mobile because it's below that, and here we will need to type 1025 like this. So anything that is above 1025 will use desktop one. So one easy method to remember is whenever you're using for desktop, just do minimum, and for like mobile and tablet, do this way. And these are like Elementor values. Okay, so for Elementor mobile, Elementor tablet, oops, Elementor tablet and Elementor desktop like this. Obviously, if you are coding, you could even choose your own breakpoints. So again, I'm going to go and copy my timeline above this one. Again, this one doesn't matter, right? This is like common for everything, so it doesn't really matter for this stuff. I'm going to copy this timeline and copy it here so that it runs for desktop, and I'm going to copy it again around here. But for this one, I'm going to do X instead. So I'll do X. Let's do -100. Remember, when you do not add any like quotation mark and any value, it's basically saying that -100 pixels. Okay, I'll do that, and also do this one as 50 just for the sake of looking. So if you look in here, I'm actually getting an error, and I know it might get kind of annoying to fix some errors like this. So I'm going to do what I like to do, like to go into ChatGPT and say on stay logged out. I like to say only fix syntax errors. You could even do like fix all errors, but again, you need to understand what it is doing, else it's like useless. Here, let's see what it did. There are a couple of issues such as unmatched closing bracket and missing semicolon. So again, I don't want to go around and try to find which semicolon I missed and what I did. So what I like to do is just go in here and then, instead of trying to do everything or trying to search where I missed it, it's faster to do with AI like this. Again, if I go now, you could see it is doing basic. It came from bottom to up. Again, one more thing I want to tell about AI like this is that it's good to also say that also tell me where you did stuff or stuff like this. So here you could see close the Windows tag and all that stuff, or you could even say like write comments in code where you change it, so that you could go in here and be like, okay, I did something around here, I missed something around here, rather than just blindly copying this code. Okay, so we know it comes from bottom to up. Let's go to inspect. Let's go to the mobile devices. So it's less than 767 pixels, right? Let's do preview. I'm waiting for it to load, and once it's load, my scroller start is there. I can go down, and you could see it came from left, and then it went like 50 pixels and did all that stuff. All you need to do is style it better rather than do it like this. Okay, so that's what we use for matchMedia, to have different animations for different stuff. So we learned matchMedia, Draggable, ToggleClass, CustomEase, TimeScale. Now we need to start getting a bit into more stuff like this. So this is where I'm like confused which one I should start first and which one I should do later. But let's do this. Okay, so let's try it like this. Now this is where we need to do a bit more JavaScript. Again, if you do not know JavaScript, you will still be able to do this, so don't worry. I will at least explain to you the JavaScript which we are going to use right now, and so that you could use it like this. It's totally okay to just copy and paste at start, so that so that it at least works, and then slowly you are just going to understand it automatically just because you're doing it. You can watch like 1,000 tutorial videos, you're not going to understand, but when you just try to do it with, let's say, first time you do it, you only understand 10% of it, 90% of the stuff you just copied. It's still better than just watching the videos. Okay, so when you do it the second time, you are going to learn like more 5%, and each time you do it, you are going to learn 5% more. So it's okay to just copy stuff for now. So we know we have a GSAP timeline called DM timeline around here. If I go in here and type .pos, open bracket like this, let's preview this and see what's happening. I'm going down. It did play. You could say it did play, but because we have scroll trigger. So let me just remove the scroll trigger completely. I'm just going to paste it in here so that I can reuse later. Let's do this stuff. So no scroll trigger. I don't want this curly brackets. I'm going to make sure overflow hidden is not set so I can see. Let's do preview now, because scroll trigger automatically does the play for us. Okay, so even though we paused it, it shouldn't like play, and you could see that it's still being here even though we added the animation. You can see no scroll trigger is there, so it should automatically run the animation, right? But it's not. If I do play, obviously it is going to play, so there's no reason to show this. But let's say I do something like reverse. Now if I do reverse, it's not going to reverse automatically, because to reverse it, it actually first needs to play. So if I click on it, it's not going to go back down. So let's just see what happens first. You could say it's not automatically reversing the timeline, but let's say we add a timeout. So timeout is a way to add delay before this code runs. You could do something like delay something, delay like a function and all. By default, JavaScript also has something. So let's try with both. So if I type set timeout with T capital, open parenthesis, open again, then I'll do right one to this arrow function, open curly brackets and open. Again, just a quick fast way to do it. So just type set timeout, do parenthesis, do again, do space, and like this. So a quick fast way to do this. Okay, I can go in here and add the set timeout reverse in here, and we can just say that run this animation after 3 seconds, so 3000 milliseconds. Let's do this. Let's do preview. See, the animation came up, it did this stuff. Let's wait, and now you could see it reversed. So what would happen if I make this like 10 seconds? It would reverse it after 10 seconds. Again, remember, to reverse we need to do play first. And if you're wondering like where can I use it, you know, the previously I showed my menu examples. When we are trying to close it, we are basically just reversing the animations instead of like doing like crazy stuff. We are just basically reversing the animations. So for delayed call, this is like code. It is same as set timeout. Again, you could use set timeout, but if I go in here, you could say GSAP.delayed call. This 3 is how much seconds it should be. So if I make this 5 and then it run this function, so here we could just type the same stuff that we have typed around here, which is DM timeline reverse. Where is it? Like this. So we can use both methods. It's your choice which one you want. I just wanted to show both of this and see if it works. The animation goes up, it plays. The timer starts like instantly as soon as the page loads. Okay, so where can we use this basically? Let's add a scroll trigger again to show you guys. So the scroll trigger that I removed, I'm going to place it at the same location that I added in the past, like this. In our scroll trigger, we actually have a lot more functionalities. So we have onEnter. So if I do comma and do onEnter, like this, run this function. So what this would do is when we enter, it will basically run whatever is in here. And these are all the stuff: onLeave, onEnterBack and onLeaveBack. Again, we do not really need to use all this stuff to do it. We can simply just use toggleAction, and I'll show what I mean by that. But this one allows you to do more stuff because we can add anything in here. Okay, so let me first do it this way. Let's do this stuff: onLeave, onEnterBack. Let's do stuff, and then let's do onLeaveBack. So what this all does, now inside of this, I'm just going to type console log. Console log is a way to check stuff. Okay, and here I'll say that title entered. Okay, so let's copy this title left. Let's do leaved. I know leaved is not the right word, but because we are using leaved, I'm just using it so to understand. Title entered back. Entered back doesn't mean like, I think I should type entered from back, something like this. And let's type and title leaved. I know leaved is not there, I said it again, but let's do this stuff. So when we use console log, it basically gives us a way to debug stuff. I'm going to do right click, inspect. Let me like refresh it once more. So right now if I go to console, again ignore this syntax error, it's not for this one. I actually have like lots of weird stuff below, so that's giving the error. But let me refresh this again. Okay, so if I scroll down, you could see that my start and start has not been touched, but keep your eyes on here when it touches. Okay, so annoying part, it refreshed, so let's do it again. So if I click on here, if I move this slightly, title entered. You see, if I go back, if I leave, you can see title leaved. But you see, it doesn't show title leaved when it is like touching this and this. To show you guys what's happening, I can go into like incognito. I'm doing publish so that I can go into incognito. This would give you like much more easier way to see what's actually happening. So you could see we have scroller end around here. It was not visible because I have this top bar around here, admin, and the scroller end is being behind that. So let's slowly start scrolling. Okay, so let's slowly start scrolling. As soon as I touch start, I'm getting title entered. If I keep going down and if my scroller end and end touches, title leaved. Now, if I go back slowly, you can see title entered from back. So when my scroller end and end touches, it is saying that it entered from back. Now, if I keep going, and my start and start touches, title leaved from back. One easy way to understand this is when we are going down, as soon as we touch green, this green stuff, we are entering. As soon as we touch this red, we are leaving. But when we are going from behind, we are basically reversing the same stuff. So right when we are going from behind this scroller end, you could think of it as start. So when we do this, we are actually entering from back. And when our start and start is clicking, we are leaving from back like this. So if I go in here and I could just say, I could even make this one be, where is it, my timeline? DM timeline, right? So DM timeline, I can do dot play in here like this. When we are leaving, I could do like lots of stuff. I could do pause. So if I leave even before the animation is complete, it will pause. I can do dot onEnterBack. I want it to play again. And when we are leaving back, I could do reverse. So again, and what I'm also going to do is, remember that scroller end is around here, right? So let's just give an end value to our stuff like this. So let's do end. It should be 50% of, so center of our container, this container or trigger values. And this one should be, I'll do 20% so that it is not at top. And let's do comma. Let's do publish. So you could see our second value is 50%, so it is around here, and the second value is 20%, so our end is around here. So 20% from top, 50% from top. Both of these are 50-50, so start and end should be at the same location. So you could see, as soon as I touch, the play worked like this, title entered. As soon as I click, it is set to pause, but nothing's going to happen, right? So when I enter from back, okay, so let's just think. Now let's just think it in better way, because I didn't use like a good example. But when I'm touching this, it is playing. But if I go back down, you could see it just paused, because I set this to be pause. When we are leaving, it should pause. So it is not playing. But when this touches again, it plays. So it doesn't play from start, it plays from where it was left. And if I go and start back, it is just basically reversing and going to its old location. Which means that you could even do reverse. So if I do reverse instead of pause in here, so if I do reverse on leave, so if I go down, it's playing, let it play. When I leave, it is now reversing, because that's what I've set it to. If I go back, it is playing back. If I go completely outside of it, it is leaving or doing whatever it has set. The reason why we use this instead of now there are there is a much easier and concise way to do it, but the only difference is when you use this one, you could even do more stuff. So let's say when you enter into this one like this, you also want to do something else to like other element. If you want, you could even add another GSAP in here. So let's say when you go in here, you want the background color of this one to change. So you could even add like another GSAP, like a whole GSAP code in here for that background value only, or this background element. Or you could even add like some other stuff, like any other JavaScript code that you want, you could add in here. So what is toggle actions? It's literally the same stuff that we did in here, but in a concise way. So let's remove all of this. Let's completely remove all this. And let's look at toggle actions. I've just searched for toggle action, and it basically takes us to the scroll trigger page. If I scroll down, let's search for, let's say, toggle actions. Yeah, here it is. So this is how you type toggle actions. So let me just copy this, paste it in here. So toggle actions, play, pause, resume, reset. onEnter, onLeave, onEnterBack, onLeaveBack. So the first value in here is onEnter, onLeave is the second one, onEnterBack is the third one, and onLeaveBack is the fourth one. So if I do is I add reverse. When we leave, it will reverse. And again, there are a lot more stuff. Okay, play, pause, resume, reset, restart, complete, reverse, and none. If you reset, it will not reverse. Basically, it will take it to the first location which you had set instantly, and it would be good to do that. So instead of when I leave like this, instead of like reversing, it would be good to like reset. So as soon as it goes outside my page, it's resetted instantly rather than doing the whole animation. So how about we do that? Okay, so on leave, let's try reset instead of doing reverse. On enter back, so when we enter from back, I could do play again, and I'll do pause this time for on leave back. So I'll just copy this much, do comma. This should be added in scroll trigger. Okay, so that difference where you add it, I accidentally miss one's curly bracket here. So again, fastest way is to just type in ChatGPT, find the syntax error for me. But it's good to know where and what is happening. So remember what we have said. We have said play, on enter play, on leave reset, on enter back play, on leave back pause. So if I go in here, it's going to play. When I go outside, it just resetted. So if my scroller end was around here, it would be good, right? So as soon as it goes outside my page, it's just basically stopped working. And again, one more thing. Just because you have one trigger, you can even have like two triggers for end location. So if you want, you could even create end trigger so that your end points are on different element completely. That way you have much more control. So it doesn't have to be like end should always be around here. You could even add on different stuff. If I go from back, it's reverses. If I go in front like this quickly, it just paused because the fourth value is set to pause. So all the stuff that we did before, on enter, on leave, on enter back, we can just do it with just 4 values. But I wanted to show that one too because it has much more control on other stuff too. So adding extra GSAP code, adding extra JavaScript, or doing more stuff. Okay. And one more thing, if I play and if I pause, you could see it is now paused around here. But if I go back, it actually starts from that animation. If you don't want it to resume, you could just type reset like this. Again, we have resume option, but I've always seen that if you just use pause and play, it still works the same. But you could just type restart and it will do the animation from starting. Again, in this one, you could see that I actually did like when you click stuff, you can reverse and play. But if you want to know more, just look into this video for in my like this video, which is like 13 minutes, which basically says how to start reverse GSAP animations with button. It goes into much more detail on how to do this. I want to show just resume restart because this is a GSAP tutorial, but this one teaches you the GSAP and JavaScript, which is like very basic. Okay, so you do not need to get scared, but this one basically teaches you how to do that. Okay, so on click you can reverse, restart, pause, and all that stuff. And again, if you really want to know even better stuff, just watch this to make interactive elements like a pro. This and this video are same, it's similar, but watching this two would give you like so much better idea on how you can like make with big stuff which are like interactable on click, on hover, and all that stuff. So what we have right now is onComplete, onUpdate, onStart, onReverseComplete, onInterrupt, and onRepeat. Now this is where advanced stuff are there. This is not advanced like coding and all, but it's usually when you want to do something like more than just animations. That's only when you use this. So to explain that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate. Actually, no, let's not duplicate. Let's get this container. This has no color, right? This is DM title wrapper. Okay, so remember, if I go in here, if I go and type DM title wrapper and do background red, it is going to turn red. Obviously, if you let's say add some color in here, it would not work. When you clear this, it should turn into this slash icon. If it does not turn into slash icon, it turns into this primary color. Then go into your Elementor settings. And make sure these two are tick mark. Basically, it makes sure that you could do this stuff and not automatically turns to primary. nothing else is difference in that one. So we have DM title wrapper, which is red. What if I create something like DM? Now again, there's one more thing. If I do DM active, you know what would happen. This toggle class adds the DM active, so when it goes in there, it would do all that stuff. So just for this purpose, I'm going to call it as DM change BG or change background. Okay, now we have not given this CSS class to anywhere. If I select this container, if I go into advanced, this is DM title wrapper, I do space, I add this, suddenly this works. And again, Elementor also has added like lots of multiple CSS classes, right? So you can check the class 1, 2, 3, 4. So similarly, we just add like multiple CSS classes. We can dynamically add stuff into that container. So let's say if I go into this stuff scroll trigger and I say first we need to get this container, so we need to first get this DM title wrapper in a JavaScript so that it can control it. I need to type constant. We can now name it anything, so I'll call it as DMBG with no dash and anything. I'll type document. So in a document, do query selector. It is all provided by JavaScript. We just need to remember this. So from document, do a query selector, which is our document, get an element which has the CSS class DM title wrapper. So what this basically did was it searched for the document, looked for an element which is DM title wrapper and stored it in this variable or in this container. It will only get one of it. So if you had multiple of this, it will not get all of it. You will need to do all around here, but even just doing all doesn't make it work. You also need to do loop through it, which I've already created like multiple videos on it, how to do all that stuff. And it's very basic. It kind of feels overwhelming when you're doing it at start, but once you just know why we have to do it and why is it there, it just makes it like super easy to do it. So for now, I'm just doing it for one element, so it's very easy. So from document, get the DM title wrapper. Now I can control or do some stuff to the DMBG. Here I could go that onComplete. So when this is completed, the similar way onEnter, the way we did it, actually no, we don't add it around here, my bad. So now what we need to do is, we do not do it in scroll trigger. So scroll trigger only has the option of onEnter, onLeave and all that stuff. I want to do it when my timeline is finished. So let's add a comma in here because it's not the last one. I'll do onComplete. So I'll type onComplete. Similarly, how we typed onLeave, on all that stuff, we will do that stuff like this. So onComplete, I just typed it similar to the way we typed before. The only difference is we are not doing it in scroll trigger. Okay, again, even if you want, you could even do it without having any timeline. So if you know about one thing, so let me just quickly go in here. We could go and make GSAP animations like this too. So if I type GSAP anim, I could do equal to and then type GSAP from, sorry, not this, from DM title like this, when we are not doing timeline. Okay, timeline basically allows us to have like do this one after another and all that stuff, but again, this is also possible to do if you, and basically you are saying that store all this animation in this one. So it is possible to do this stuff too, and then here you would type like onComplete like this, same stuff that we have done around here if you are doing for single animation. But now we are doing for timeline, so let's keep doing that. So we are saying in that timeline, when it is completed, we need to do something. I've taken this DMBG, container and stored it in this container like this. I'll type .dmbg .style like this, or actually no, let's do the different method, which is class list with L capital add. We are saying whatever this container is, I want to add a class into it. Remember the way I showed how I copy paste this code in there? I know we will do this dynamically. Add this one. No, do not do comma, sorry, do not do dot in here, okay? Because we are already saying that it's a class. So what this would do is onComplete. In this container, it will add this class, and this class have already been given a this styling. Let's go down. it displaying, it does the animation, it goes down, and you could see it added the CSS class into this one. To make it understand even better, let's try to do and check how the HTML has been changed or a DOM has been changed. Let me try to find it. Again, if this looks confusing, what I did was I selected this container, this whole container, which is same as selecting this container. Then inside of this container, I am looking for, you can see there's one extra container in here. It's only available, this inner container is only added when you're using boxed container. Let me search for our DM title wrapper, which is around here. Okay, so DM title. Why did you refresh, man? Stop refreshing. This is why I hate to use like preview page. Only refresh when I tell it to, right? Okay, let me do it quickly now. See, we have DM title wrapper around here. If I just check, like, these are all the CSS classes which are present around here. I'm just keep watching around here. See, DM change PG was added. DM active was also added because I still haven't changed the code around here, which is ToggleClass around here. So again, this is one thing that you could do, and if you know JavaScript, you know you could do like lots of other stuff. You could even do is you could run the another animation when it is completed. I have used it in my 10 animated preloaders. I actually have a dedicated video which shows how to create custom preloaders. So this 10 animated preloader video, it shows how to make the one that I have created, but I also have a video which shows how to do your custom ones. I'll show you right now, but see, this is what happens. So on complete, I'm running another GSAP animation. So when this animation is done, I'm running on complete, make it go up like this. If you want to know like a really good use case for this, then look into this video, which is how to create custom preloaders. So in this one, I explain how to create preloaders which I have already made, right? But this one you could have learned to make your own preloaders in future. In this one, I do explain how that works, how onComplete can be used and all that stuff. There's like a lot more stuff you could even do. So I can even say that DMBG style basically display and make it none. Like let's do equal to none. This is what I've done for preloaders. When it is completed and all the animation has been done, basically I just remove it from my DOM to not DOM, but basically I just remove it from like all this layout basically by adding display none. So if I do this stuff, you could see when it completes, it will just disappear. See, it is not even present in here. I cannot even click in here. So you know there's a lot more stuff that you could do. And here's the thing, we don't really always need to do for this stuff. You know that with JavaScript we can control another elements too. So you could have onComplete make this stuff disappear, or when this animation completes, make the sales numbers look like it went from 50 to 70%, something like that. So you could even do like crazy animations with it or add some logic behind it, and all this stuff is basically the same. onUpdate basically keeps running constantly. So if I go in here, let's do some stuff. Okay, so let's type everything that we know. I'll type .onUpdate like this. I'll do onReverse. So remember, we don't type onReverse, we type onReverseComplete. onInterrupt is basically like when it is paused and all, but I haven't really used it, so I'm going to ignore this. I don't have enough experience with this one. And we have onRepeat. Again, remember the way we did console log. So let's do console log completed. So remember that we can run any code in here that we want on all these statements. So let's see how this goes. Now if I go to my console, you could see nothing showing. Let's go into this one. You could see the markers are disappeared, which means something I have done in here is wrong. Basically, you see I added some semicolon in here. We don't add that. Okay, so no errors right now. This color is starting. If I go down, I haven't really touched yet. Just keep around here, okay? It started once and it's updating, and updating will work till the time it is still updating. And then when it is completed, it basically completed. If I go back, it is still updating, starting. like this. Now if I add something like reverse, so let's do reverse. I had set it to reset, right? So I'm going to do play, reverse, play, pause, which means when we leave, it's going to reverse. If I go down, it is still starting, updating, it update. You could see 157 times it just kept repeating updating, and then it completed. It is doing updating, reverse completed. So all this stuff basically allows you to do more. You could do like other GSAP code in here, you could do other DOM manipulation in here, and lots of stuff you could do. You could do preloaders, you could make, if you watch the preloader video, you would understand how this one is very important in that one. If you watch the other videos where I showed how to do the toggle, which I showed like interactivity and the toggle video, you would understand why this is important and how we can use it. So yeah, that's all in this video. Again, in the first video we learned like lots of basic stuff and the most important stuff, which is like 80% and 90%. So yeah, if you learned something, please like and subscribe. Consider sharing this video, using my links in description, buying my templates, whether it's free or paid, using my affiliate links in below, or whatever you want to support me. And yeah, that's all. Thanks and goodbye.